several years ago, my manager and I were acquainted, working together at a previous company. Interestingly, fate brought us back together when he was hired at my current company. Um, uh, Initially, we held the same position, but it was understood that he would eventually be promoted to a managerial role. It fell upon me to train him in his new position. To my surprise, we got along remarkably well, and he turned out to be much nicer than I had remembered. He sought constant reassurance that our working relationship was strong, expressing a genuine interest in getting to know me as a person. While I appreciated his efforts, I encouraged him to forge connections with our colleagues who held similar positions. I emphasized the importance of maintaining a distinction between work friends and non-work friends. Nevertheless, he consistently gravitated towards me, perhaps due to our previous familiarity. On one occasion, I mentioned in our work chat about the challenge of finding a parking spot during an upcoming snowstorm. Despite it being his day off, he promptly called me and offered to pick me up from my parking spot and drive me home, and even volunteered to do the same the following morning. Although we lived in the same town, I declined his kind offer. Undeterred, he insisted on demonstrating his appreciation for me as his manager. I remained firm in my refusal, but later he proposed carpooling in his wife's SUV. Again, I politely declined. The next day, he arrived in his own car instead of the SUV. He frequently requested in-person meetings with me, whereas he would simply message or call our other colleagues for any work-related inquiries. If I couldn't accommodate an in-person meeting, he would postpone it indefinitely. He never sought private meetings with any other colleagues. He would make time for me and even bring snacks. I liked gestures that were exclusive to our interactions. If I couldn't attend a meeting, he would cancel it altogether, inconveniencing our colleagues. Moreover, he often called me on my days off or during his own days off to discuss matters that could have waited until my scheduled shift. He also sent me non-work related videos. Naturally, this behavior made my colleagues feel disrespected. When we had a work-related conflict, I decided to block him from contacting my personal phone number. This action seemed to trigger his anger, causing him to dismiss me and attempt to marginalize me within the department. Recognizing the boundaries that had been crossed between a manager and a subordinate, I approached HR with my concerns. Surprisingly, HR defended him, citing his belief that we were friends due to our shared work history. They argued that if he had sought meetings outside of work, the situation would be different. It is worth noting that he never treated my other colleagues in the same manner as he treated me. Only after our conflict did he make attempts to get to know them. For example, he went for drinks with a colleague I am close to, trying to win him over to his side. However, his efforts were in vain, as my colleague promptly shut him down when he attempted to discuss me. That evening, my colleague also warned me about a darker side to our manager. My colleague's revelation about our manager's darker side lingered in my mind, leaving me increasingly wary of his intentions. It became apparent that his behavior towards me was not merely friendly or professional, but rather it was crossing boundaries and making others uncomfortable. As time went on, the situation escalated. Our manager continued to exert his influence and make me the focal point of his attention. He would openly disregard the concerns and opinions of my colleagues, favoring his own agenda. The team dynamic suffered as trust and respect eroded under his leadership. Recognizing the severity of the situation, I knew I had to take action. I gathered evidence of the inappropriate interactions and favoritism, documenting instances where he had prioritized me over others and where his actions had compromised the integrity of the team. With a substantial collection of information, I decided it was time to escalate the issue beyond the HR. Taking my concerns to higher management, I presented the evidence and detailed accounts of the problematic behavior. This time, my concerns were taken seriously and an internal investigation was initiated. The truth began to unfold as other team members were interviewed and corroborated my experiences. It became clear that my manager's behavior had indeed crossed professional boundaries and had created a toxic work environment. After a thorough investigation, the company made the decision to terminate my manager's employment due to his misconduct and disregard for professional ethics. The news brought a sense of relief to the team as we hoped for a positive shift in the work environment. In the aftermath, the company implemented new policies and training programs to ensure a respectful and inclusive workplace. They prioritized the well-being and a professional growth of the team members, aiming to rebuild trust and foster a more positive work culture. As for me, I felt a renewed sense of confidence and validation in speaking up about the inappropriate behavior I had endured. The experience served as a reminder of the importance of maintaining professional boundaries and standing up against misconduct. I was grateful for the support of my colleagues who had stood by me throughout the ordeal, with a new manager in place, one who understood the significance of fair treatment and effective leadership. The team began to heal and rebuild. The toxic remnants of the past slowly dissipated, and we worked together to create a more harmonious and productive work environment. Through this challenging experience, I learned the value of advocating for oneself and in others in the face of adversity. I realized that it is essential to address issues promptly and seek resolution, even when it involves individuals in positions of authority. My hope was that by sharing my story, others would be inspired to speak out against similar situations and help create safer and more supportive workplaces for all.